Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Combo Breaker 99. I'm back with another video. All right, y'all. Shout out to one of my subscribers, Wmma. He actually asked me to do this video because a couple of weeks ago I did this video talking about Rose Namajunas and her boxing, and the possibility of her outboxing Zhang Weili, coming leading up to their fight this Saturday. And he asked, who do I think the fight would favor if it went to the ground? So I came up with this video idea. I said, okay, well, let's think. If it goes to the ground, who goes down? That's the question. So I just kind of want to go back and look at some of the strengths that both of these fighters have on the ground, and we'll kind of discuss it here on who you think has the better ground game, or who's going to have more success if the fight goes to the ground. So yeah, let's go ahead and look at it, man. I know I already did my keys to victory on this fight, but let's just say if the fight went to the ground for the majority of the time, who would it really favor? Would it favor Zhang, or would it favor Rose? All right, so if y'all notice, I'm trying to pronounce her name right. Sometimes I say Zhang, but I think it's Zhang Weili, right? I'm going with the right way. I'm getting there. I'm getting there, y'all. So yeah, man. Let's discuss this. First, I just kind of want to go down the strengths of both fighters as far as their ground game. Not just the jiu-jitsu skills, but everything else I've seen, like their characteristics. How they deal with pressure, how they handle strength. Because I'll say this: look, stand-up fighting is one thing, but whenever it goes to the ground, everybody's the same height. That's an old saying I've heard time and time again, even before I've discovered mixed martial arts. Everybody always says, okay, the fight could favor this person in a stand-up, but when it goes down to the ground, everybody's the same height. So you got to humble yourself in that ground game. So real quick, let's look at Rose Namajunas, her strengths on the ground. She has brown belt in jiu-jitsu. Correct me if I'm wrong. I've done a little research. I've looked everywhere, and everybody says that she's brown belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So that's one strength for Rose Namajunas. The one thing I've seen is, her success as far as using her striking to soften her opponents up. Whenever she gets you into the ground, she's always working that ground and pound, and she'll use that ground and pound to get her submissions. Next up, she's very slippery. Whenever Rose gets to the ground, she's very flexible, and she knows how to just like slide in and out of submission attempts from her opponents and slide into her own. And she knows how to slide out of guards and get to the back of her opponent, whether she's standing, looking for a submission. But when we focus on the ground, she really knows how to slide in and out of those submission attempts from her opponents, like I said, and get into her own submission attempt, whether she's looking for that arm bar, she's looking for the rear naked choke. Next, she transitions nicely. She's a beautiful transition artist. Whenever she gets down there looking for those submission attempts, I mean, like, one of the best examples I've seen was whenever Michelle Waterson put her in that headlock and tried to body toss her. She used that left leg to lock around the body and get into a triangle, and she took the pressure off of the headlock, and she was able to get on the back of Michelle Waterson. So I was like, okay, Michelle Waterson, she's a good ground fighter, but just showed you that Rose Namajunas, she's levels above. She's always thinking, and that's another strength. She's always thinking even before, she gets to the ground in midair. She's already making that transition. That's what made her so popular with the armbar attempts. The flying arm bars. So yeah, what else can we think of? Very active. She's very active on the ground. Rose Namajunas, when she's on her back, she's always throwing some hands. She's letting her hands go. She's fighting the wrist. She's always trying to put herself in position. Her lower body's in a position to trap the legs of her opponent. If she's on top, she's looking for that full mount, that ground and pound. Once again, going back to Paige, even Carolina, Tisha Torres, all these opponents. When she gets to the ground, she's looking to let her hands go. Michelle Waterson faced, some big shots. She got a big mouse over the top of her eye, the way Rose Namajunas just got scrappy and let her hands go. So Rose Namajunas has a lot of strengths going into a ground fight. Next up, Zhang Weili. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here. I've been doing research everywhere, and something I found out last night when I was watching Embedded kind of, threw some of my research off and had, put a question mark over my head. But you guys let me know. Okay, Zhang Weili, from what I found out, she's a purple belt in BJJ, but according to Embedded last night when I was watching the documentary, they say that Zhang Weili is a third-degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know which one it is. I'm just going to go with purple belt because, that's what I've seen first. And last night, that was just a big switch up to me. But if she is a third-degree black belt, hey, that just makes it go up a little bit more. That makes her stock go up a little bit more. But anyways, she has skills in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Next up, she's very effective in side control. Whenever she gets into that side control on her opponent, she knows how to lay on you and put that physical strength on you. She's kneeing you to the body. She's using her upper half to control your wrist. It's almost like an octopus. Lower half is, kneeing you to the body, then the other half is controlling the wrist, or she's rubbing the forearm in your face. So she's always multitasking, which leads to my next thing. She's also active, very active on the ground. If she's on her back, having you in the guard. If you look at some of her earlier fights, she's very active on the ground, and she's always throwing something. She's always letting her hands go, and she's looking to finish her opponents when she gets you into that position where she feels you're weakest at. Next up is her physical pressure. She's almost putting the same type of pressure on you as if she was standing. She knows how to distribute her weight and her strength as if she was standing in an inside clinch fight. She puts that weight on you. She mauls you. She's brawling. She's rubbing that forearm in your face. She's cracking you in the face with those elbows. Jessica Aguilar, first round finish. Just continuously pummeling her. Tisha Torres, towards the end of the fight, end of the third round of their fight, she was able to just like grind her with those elbows. And Tisha Torres almost looked helpless there. Like she was just closing her eyes, squinting, just eating those elbows and those forearms. It's just like really a lot of aggressive work whenever she's in that top position. She goes for that full mount, and as soon as you're in that vulnerable position on your back, because she knows that not many fighters can just let their hands go off their back and be as active, she's really putting that work on. She's like a street fighter when it goes to the ground. So ground and pound is deadly. Her ground and pound is very deadly. And I also say once again, she's very active on the ground, and even some of the strongest opponents have, they've had to deal with that, whether it be, like I said, Tisha Torres or Jessica Aguilar, who's a solid wrestler, So when I factor everything in, who will go down if it goes to the ground, I think the fight on the ground is going to be 50-50, but it's all going to depend on how it gets to the ground. Who initiates the takedown, who gets knocked down when the fight goes to the ground. That's how it's really going to play out, I think, in this fight, just because both of these fighters have solid ground game. If Rose Namajunas lands something big, knocks Zhang Weili down, then of course it might favor Rose Namajunas, because she's going to be looking for that submission attempt. She's going to go straight for that rear naked choke, like she always says. She's going to go for that knockout. She's going to knock you down, beat you up, and then go for that rear naked choke to choke you out. That's one of her sayings, right? So if she looks to land that big shot and drops you like she did Michelle Waterson, Paige Van Zandt, and so on, she's going to try to go for that rear naked choke. Now, Zhang Weili, if she continues to just put that dog on Rose Namajunas and she goes for those underhooks, or she simply chops away the lead leg and drops Rose Namajunas, and she gets into that top position, she's going to go straight for full mount, then yeah, it could favor Zhang Weili. So I really think it's going to come down to who has the game plan of taking the fight to the ground, or who lands that big shot to knock them down to the ground, and also who has the focus, who still has their focus, whether it be in the third round or the fifth round. I think that Zhang Weili, like I said, she has a well-roundedness about her where she takes her stand-up game down to the ground, which is very effective, and that's why I say fighters like Jillian Robertson, who's a very dangerous submission artist and very scrappy fighter when it goes to the ground, if she took that same energy into her stand-up, she would be a scrappy fighter all around. She would have that same type of street fighter mentality and that dog in her, because when the fight goes down to the ground for Jillian Robertson, she's letting her hands go. But when she's standing up, it's a different story. Zhang Weili, she's always letting her hands go. She's always putting that pressure on you. She's always a dog. So really, all in all, I would have to say it's a 50-50 it's a 50-50 fight when it goes to the ground. I have to give Rose a lot of credit, on the ground, as far as her BJJ skills, and also have to give Zhang Weili a lot of credit. So yeah, man. I hope that answers the question, Emmy. I think it's an even fight if it goes to the ground, but whenever you put all that well-roundedness in, just go back to my prediction video, which I just put out. Let me know, guys, what y'all think in the comment section. Do you think it's an even fight if it goes to the ground? If it goes to the ground, who goes down? That's the question. So, Emmy, let me know what you think. And my subscribers, let me know, who do you think the ground favors? Does it favor Zhang Weili more or Rose Namajunas? Let me know, guys. Combo Breaker 99. I'm out. Subscribe. Peace.